Hi, Drew with Faholo Life. Today we're just going to talk to you about some different items that we use as full-time RVers. So this is our air compressor. So very important because when you're traveling a lot, you definitely want to be checking your tire pressures frequently, but a compressor can be good for other things too. There's ends you can put on here. You can use this as air to blow things out. We do generally use this as a just checking tire pressure, not only on our camper, but when we're doing work with Mission RV Services, we check customers' rigs with this. So for us, it's important to have a very good compressor. This particular compressor is a Air 450P, and the reason we chose this compressor is, one, there's a commercial use for it for us, from using it from a business perspective, but from an owner perspective, a full-timer's perspective, we picked this because it will go up to 150 PSI. So when you're filling Class A tires, you need a compressor that can handle those higher PSI ratings. You could get a much smaller one if you have a travel trailer or a fifth wheel that don't use pressure that's this high. Also, another aspect of this is these hook right into the battery. So I don't need a special plug. I don't need a 120 outlet. All I need is either the battery from a fifth wheel or from our rig. I can plug this into a house battery. I can plug it into a chassis battery. Just make sure you get your positive and negative on the right post so it works correctly. And this is a really good compressor. So Air 450P is what we use for not only for our full-time living as RV owners and RV full-timers, but we also use it in our business with Mission RV Services. So today, I'm not checking the pressure on our tires, but I'm actually checking on one of our customers right now. So we'll take you along and we'll show you how easy this is to use. Okay, so now to use this compressor, I'm at the house batteries on this particular travel trailer. I've got my red positive, my black negative, and I'm going to go to the battery and I'm going to look. I have my positive side, which either indicates from the plus mark or from a negative mark. Here you have red and black, and we can see that the cables for the customer are mounted that way as well. So we're going to hook this up to here, and then we're going to hook that up to there, and now we're connected. So if I want to test the connection, what I'll do is I have my on-off switch right here. So I know I have a good connection. So my next step is to hook up my hose. So now we're going to hook our hose up. So these hoses for the Air, it's just a pull and clip compression style. Very easy to use. Just push it in just like that. And then on here, this end, same thing with our, so this came with the pump, and it's for the air. This latches onto the valve stem, but it also has a gauge that tells us our pressure. So the gauge goes up to 160, the pump's rated for 150, and today we're going to be putting in about 60 PSI in these tires based on manufacturer recommendation. So now that I have it connected, what we'll do is we're going to turn it on. Once there's a small, basically, pressure cylinder in here. Once it reaches a pressure setting, it'll shut off by itself, and it'll only come on as it needs to replenish. So as I'm using it, it'll run continuously, but once I stop using it, it will stop itself. So it's not always running unless you're using it, even though it's in the on position. So there you see that it came on, it kind of went through a cycle and it stopped. Now, if I push this, you'll hear it come on again. It's relatively quiet as compressors go, so if you're in a campground, it's not going to be annoying the neighbors, some big compressor vibrating and running. So another nice thing about the Air, it's also very compact and easy to get around. So we're going to set this on the deck. The hose that comes with it is very long. So even though the Air comes with its own gauge and setup, we still recommend using a tire gauge. We use the Astro AI. It's good to have a gauge because you're not going to pull out this every time you just want to check your tire pressure. So what we'll do here is, so we push this onto the valve stem, and then that locks down. So now it's locked in place. It shows us our tire pressure right now is 40. Looking at the rating, we can go up to 60 pounds of pressure. Okay, so when wanting to know how much tire pressure you should put into your tires, you should always look at the manufacturer's tire and load information, okay? So for this particular rig, we have our front tire, we validated that size, and it's saying the maximum cold tire pressure for this camper is 65 PSI. Now on the tire, it says the maximum tire pressure for 2-tire system, so a double tire axle, is 60 PSI. So this says, depending on the tire I have, I can go up to 65, but I'm not going to exceed the tire manufacturer's recommendation, because this could be for a different model tire. It doesn't tell me what model tire it is, it only gives me a size. So we'll follow the tire manufacturer's maximum versus this, but depending on what tire I have, we could have went with 65 PSI, but today we're going to hit 60 PSI. Follow the tire manufacturer's recommendation if it does not exceed this, right? So if this recommendation was lower, then we would go with this. But we don't want to exceed the manufacturer's recommendation on the actual tire because we don't want to have a blowout. So even though when the customer pulls this camper, she doesn't have to worry about it. So once you get close to where the tire pressure should be, you'll find that the tire fills pretty quickly. It's kind of like the first 70% takes forever to fill up on the tires, but once you get closer to where it's supposed to be when it's at its peak, then you'll notice that it finishes pretty quickly. Our gauge that's connected to our compressor says we're at 60 pounds. So we're going to pull this off of here. And just to validate, we're going to take our pressure check. We're going to want to make sure this is on PSI. And then we're at 60.4. So the good news is we know our gauge is pretty accurate and we validated it with a second source. So now we have peace of mind that we've taken care of our customer today and done this. But as RV owners, we depend on these gauges being accurate because we're going down the road, we travel a lot as full-time RVers, and we need to make sure that our tire pressures are correct. We want to avoid blowouts. Low tire pressure or over tire pressure can cause tire wear to be uneven, can cause a tire to get too hot, can cause, all kinds of different things. If this tire's got more air than this tire back here, then we're going to put more strain on one tire versus the other. That all puts you in a dangerous situation. So having a good compressor, having multiple gauges to check your tires, really you just need one good gauge. We find the Astro AI gauge is very good. We use that again for RV inspections. We do have a backup just in case, but so I have a source here and a source there. Is that overkill? Maybe. But when your family safety is on the line, I say no. So we want you guys safe out there, and we want you guys to keep living a Fajolo life. So make sure you're checking your tire pressures regularly. We recommend at least monthly. For sure, before a trip, I would even check them when you're going on the trip. When you get to your first destination, check the tires again. Make sure you didn't lose pressure en route. You can get tire pressure monitors that you can read in the front of your truck that can hook onto your trailer. We completely recommend those. There's all kinds of them out there on the Jungle website, but tire pressure is key. Anybody who's seen people broke down on the side of the road, when one of these tires blows, it will rip the side of this camper apart. It'll rip these speakers out. You have a fresh water tank right here. It could tear that hose out of that. It could damage the furnace. All of this is right within this area. This tire, once it's going at 55 miles an hour, will blow through the bottom of the floorboard, causing all kinds of damage. But a lot of times it's because of improper tire pressure. So that's how important it is, ladies and gentlemen. And this is something everybody can do. You can even teach your kids to do this. Checking tire pressures is probably one of the most important things you can do from a safety perspective. And having a good pump that you can use remotely and just with the batteries on your rig that don't require special plugs is important as well. So that's why we recommend the Air. They didn't give us that pump, but through our research, we found that's one of the better pumps out there. A little more expensive than some other ones, but well worth the price for us. But that's all we got. If you have any questions or comments about pumps that maybe you use, or more questions on, our experience with the Air, please drop those comments below. Hit the like, subscribe button. Share this video if you know people out there that just need some information on tire pressures on their campers or motorhomes. And other than that, thanks for watching and have a great day, everybody.